Greetings, pen pals. We have a really nice pen today. We have the Twsbi Draco. This is a limited edition pen from Twsbi. Very, very different from almost every other Twsbi that's they've been making for the last few years. This is sort of a follow-up to a very, very rare pen that they made a couple of years ago called the Twsbi Aurora. This is basically the same type of pen, in a different type of acrylic finish. That pen came and went from the marketplace. Very, very hard to get now. I do not have one, but I did snatch this up as soon as it became available. This, I believe, is quite a bit more widely available than the Aurora was, but you can rest assured it probably will not last forever. It's a pretty expensive Twsbi pen. It runs more than double what, say, a VAC 700R would cost, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of this pen in a minute. So the thing that jumps out immediately is the finish on this pen. It's got this really, really nice reddish black maroon acrylic. Really, really attractive material, I think. I think they did a really good job on the acrylic. It's this red acrylic. Draco is Latin for dragon. You might also know it as a constellation or a character in Harry Potter. Or if you go way back, you have Emperor Draco from Buck Rogers. In any case, this is a fairly substantial pen. It's a bit girthy. Size-wise, it's right up there with, say, a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan. It is got some heft to it, weighs in at 32 grams. It's got acrylic and a lot of metal in there, etc. So that's definitely going to bulk up the weight. In terms of the parts, it has this acrylic, and almost all the metal parts are in this rose gold finish, which is looks really, really nice. You have a piston turning knob on the end with a trim ring at the end of the piston turning knob. You have a unadorned small cap band. Around the base of the cap, it has Twsbi etched on it quite nicely. And speaking of being etched quite nicely, on the top of the cap, you have the Twsbi logo fairly deeply etched into the acrylic, and that I think really, really looks great. I really like the job they did on that. Clip is nothing special, very functional, but pretty ordinary, and there is nothing really on the end of the piston turning knob. It is a screw to uncap pen, takes 1 1/4 turns to unscrew. Personally, I think it's short, unposted. Your mileage may vary. It does post quite nicely and quite cleanly, unlike, say, the Twsbi vac fillers, which don't post. Here you have this screw part here, also in the rose gold finish, followed by a quite functional ink window, which I just think looks really good there. And the section is matching the same acrylic, which again looks pretty nice. Comfortable section. It's a smooth plastic section with quite a bit of flare out on the end here. Very comfortable to hold. These threads and the ink window are not obtrusive at all. And I think the pen has a lot of comfort. It is a decently girthy pen, though, I will say. Now we get to one of two pet peeves I have about this pen. This is it's a nice nib. It's a Twsbi branded nib. It says Twsbi logo, has some scroll work, and an M for medium in this case, and it's also in the matching rose gold finish, which looks nice. My pet peeve is it's a number 5 nib. For a pen of this price and this size, this should have a number 6 nib. So for example, this is the Twsbi VAC 700R with a number 6 nib, and I just think, if you look at the sections, the section on the VAC 700R is a thinner section even. And unposted, the pen is only a tiny, tiny bit. The pen itself is the exact same length as the Draco. The only part that's bigger is the nib, because the nib is longer. But this pen should have a number 6 nib in it, no question whatsoever. I just think they totally blew it on the nib size on this. Really, really should have a number 6 nib in this pen for sure. you know, while we're at it, my only other pet peeve is this is supposed to be a limited edition pen. They should have a limited edition number extra somewhere on the pen, maybe here where you have Twsbi or somewhere on the end here. I think it should be numbered. Again, at this price, we're talking about a pen that's more than double the cost of the VAX 700R. So I think it should definitely have the limited edition numbering. So my two pet peeves, we'll get them out of the way. The limited edition numbering should be there. That's more of a minor point. I think the big thing they screwed up on was the nib should be, absolutely should be a number 6 nib in this pen. No question in my mind whatsoever. In any rate, that's where we are with that. Again, I think the material is really nice. I think, you know, the overall build quality on the pen is absolutely outstanding, etc. While we're at it, for comparison purposes, let's compare it to some other Twsbi pens, shall we? Okay, so this is our Twsbi Draco that we are talking about today. This is a Twsbi Eco, and as you can see, it is just a tiny bit longer than the Twsbi Eco, and it's just a tiny bit shorter than the VAX 700R. So in terms of nib size, though, these both have smaller number 5 size nibs, and this has a number 6 nib, which, as I already said, should be the nib in this pen. Also, keep in mind, look at the girth. This is definitely the girthiest of the three of those. So again, I think that just even more reinforces how it makes the number 5 nib look undersized in this pen. So let's do a side-by-side nib comparison while we're at it. Okay, so as you can see, even though the section on the Draco is just as long, and it's actually quite a bit girthier than the section on the VAX 700, it has a much smaller nib. It has a girthier section than the Eco, and the nib is a bit wider on the Draco than on the Eco, but nothing compared to the number 6 nib that's on the VAX 700. So again, I stand by my contention that this Draco in a number 6 size nib with the rose gold finish here would have really looked absolutely fantastic. It's the right nib that should have been on this pen, and furthermore, especially at this price point, I think this is a skimpy nib at this price point for this pen. But I still like the pen. Let's be clear about it. I think it's a very nice pen because it writes well, and you want to see how well it writes, and I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, folks, what I'm writing with here today is a Twsbi Draco, and this has a steel nib in medium, and I will say that this writes fantastic. This is smooth. It has really good flow. I'd say it's above average in wetness, which I like. Just a wonderful writing pen. A real pleasure to write with. So I can't complain too much about this nib not being what I was expecting, because it just writes so darn well. So I'm really pleased with this nib. The piston filling mechanism works really well as well. No need to really demonstrate that here. It's just a normal old piston mechanism. You turn this knob, the piston moves up and down. You can see it fill in the ink window, etc. Nothing special to see there, but it really works well and very effective. Like all Twsbis, it comes with a Twsbi wrench, which you would need to disassemble the piston filling mechanism when you need to do a full sort of tear down maintenance of the piston filling mechanism, which should not be that often really. And it does come with a little tiny vial of silicone grease as well. So it's a nice pen, comes nicely packaged, etc. Again, my just two pet peeves with it, like I said, are the fact that I think it should have a limited edition number on the pen, which again, that's a minor point. I think the more significant point is I think it's an undersized nib for given the size of the pen and given the price point that they're selling it at. So that's really all I have to say about this very nice pen. But you know what would be really nice is if you folks could all please like, comment, share, and subscribe, that would all be most welcome and most appreciated. So that's about it for this pen. Nice pen this week. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining too much, because all in all, I really do like the pen. I'm happy I bought it. I don't regret the purchase one bit. But let's talk about this ink now for a minute, shall we? All right, this is an ink from Diamine, and this is Diamine Writer's Blood. Now, personally, I don't think it looks very much like blood, but yeah, it could maybe dried blood a little bit. Here's what the color card looks like for Diamine Writer's Blood. So you see it's a very, very dark red, maroonish kind of ink. Here it is compared to some other dark red inks. Here it is compared to Robert Asterkiza Roach. So you can see this is definitely much more purplish and maroon than this ink. Noodler's Black Swan in English Roses is another dark red ink. This is sort of a blackish red with a little bit of a sheen to it, which this does not. This does not have. J. Herbin Rouge Granat is actually somewhat similar. This is a garnet red. Again, this is definitely more maroonish and purple, but again, a very, very dark red. Just comparing it to a completely different red so you can get just sort of a way of contrast. Pelikan Edelstein Star Ruby, much more vibrant, much pinker, etc. And here's what it looks like against just a straight up traditional red. Diamine Poppy Red, which is just the basic sort of teacher's correction pen style red. So you can see much darker, much more purple, much more maroon, etc. So there is a little bit of a story behind this Diamine Writer's Blood ink. So there's a very popular website called Reddit, which you may have heard of. They have subforums on that for every conceivable interest that you could think of. And one of them is for fountain pens. And so every year for the last 3 years, they've done a survey and among their readers, and they've gotten Diamine to commission an ink based on the results of the survey that is specifically made for the Reddit forum users. So here we go. 2 years ago, or I think in 2018, I guess if you want to look at it, so it's almost 3 years ago, the one that won was Earl Grey. The following year was Aurora Borealis, and this past year was Writer's Blood. And they actually have this marked on here, and they say this color was chosen by the members of r/Fountain Pens, a wonderful Reddit community of fountain pen enthusiasts. If you aren't a part of the community, join in. And there is the website address to go to, so I will put that there. You can freeze that for a moment, and I'll put a link to that in the notes for the show, so you guys can check out that really, really nice Reddit community. But in any case, this is sort of the series so far of Reddit community fountain pen inks from Diamine. Pretty nice choices, if you ask me. I think the readership of Reddit has done a pretty good job in voting on these. Frankly, I have to be totally honest. When I did my voting for these, the only one that I actually voted for, I think that actually won, was the Earl Grey. I'm pretty sure I didn't vote for this one or this one. I don't remember what I did vote for, but I don't think it was either of these. But I'm still happy with these inks. I think they're very, very nice inks. So anyway, that is Diamine Writer's Blood. That's what it looks like on this Rhodia paper. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like on Tomoe River paper, shall we? All right, like we said, what we have here is Diamine Writer's Blood. And again, very, very nice ink. Interesting color. You do get a little bit of color variation. It's a very, very dark ink, so that you're not going to get a ton of color variation regardless of what the paper is, but you do get a little bit on this Tomoe River paper. But it's just a really, really nice ink. I'm kind of glad this one actually won. Now that I think about it, I think this was a good choice. Speaking of good choices, I hope you think you made a good choice watching this video. I think that'll just about do it for today. I certainly hope you enjoyed it, because I certainly enjoyed making it. And as always, until we see each other again, have a great day. Bye-bye.